Larry, it's heating up. A lot of people are becoming increasingly concerned about this seemingly unending effort to get President Trump. How are you today, Larry?
I'm fine. I'm okay.
I appreciate.
Worried, but okay.
Yeah, everybody's worried, and everybody wants to make sure that you're all right. Larry, I appreciate you allowing me to adjust the schedule today. There was an emergency message from Ole Dammegard. A lot of people predicting the implosion of NATO, but we've got kind of more pressing matters happening right here in the United States. The House Democrats have just released a resolution to open the hearings on impeaching President Trump for what they allege is an abuse of power. Would you like me to read this, Larry?
Yes, please, because I have not read it. I haven't seen it yet, so please do.
Okay, so I'm just seeing this from a tweet here. It says, the House impeachment inquiry has collected extensive evidence and testimony, and soon the American people will hear from witnesses in an open setting. The resolution introduced today in the House Rules Committee will provide the pathway forward. The resolution provides rules for the format of an open hearing in the House Intelligence Committee, including staff-led questioning of witnesses, and it authorizes the public release of deposition transcripts. The resolution also establishes procedures for the transfer of evidence to the Judiciary Committee as it considers potential articles of impeachment, and it sets forth due process rights for the President and his counsel in the Judiciary Committee proceedings. The evidence we have already collected paints the picture of a president who abused his power by using multiple levels of government to press a foreign country to interfere with the 2020 election. Following in the footsteps of previous impeachment inquiries, the next phase will move from closed depositions to open hearings where the American people will learn firsthand about the president's misconduct. Now, Larry, I immediately have a few questions for you after reading this. They're talking in there about due process, but yet we've already gotten to this stage of the game in total absence of due process. Wouldn't anything that happens now be the fruit of that poison process?
Well, absolutely. Number one, there was a catch-22 in what you just read. Read once again the part about staff questioning.
Sure.
Yeah.
It says the resolution provides for rules, for the format of open hearings in the House Intelligence Committee, including staff-led questioning of witnesses. Do you see that as a problem?
Absolutely. That is not done. Normally in congressional hearings, you understand, especially in one as serious as an impeachment hearing, it's done by the members of Congress, not by their staff.
Yeah, right.
So there's a new wrinkle, which tells me they've got a trick planned. That's one of the things I call a turd in the buttermilk, excuse my French, but that's one of the things they put in there that you have to be careful with.
Right. So what do you anticipate that might lead to?
I'm not sure at this time, Jason. I just know this. What they have done is very artful. It has never been done before in the history of this country. We're moving an impeachment of a president. Now remember, folks, when they talk about impeaching the president, they're talking about doing away with our vote in 2016. That's what they're talking about. They're getting rid of our vote in 2016.
Well, I mean, Larry, it adds insult to injury because the first thing they tried to do was, I mean, the ironic thing is they're talking about abuse of presidential power to affect an election by influencing foreign powers. Sounds an awful lot like a description of exactly what Obama and his Department of Justice did with the FBI.
In 2016, exactly.
Yeah.
The scary part about this, Jason, is never before what they've done is they've gone in now and they've gone into the law. Remember, when they did the impeachment so far, as they've done it so far, they called it an inquiry, right?
Yeah.
They didn't do it officially, meaning they did not go through the vote of Congress, which meant they could do anything they wanted. They literally wrote the rules, and the rules were Trump's people are not going to get to ask any questions. They can sit in there, but they can't say a word, and that they can't let anything out.
So now they're claiming,
So that's
Larry,
what
that
they did.
through that process they've gained, witness testimony and evidence
Right.
and things
What
like
they
that.
have
But
gained- what they have gained in actuality is slanderous material that they can use to taint the country. That's what they've done.
right,
They have developed slanderous material to taint public opinion. Now, they've also got testimony that could not be scrutinized or challenged, right, in the way the system was done.
yeah,
So they're way ahead, way ahead, Jason, of President Trump. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. So they're sitting there with tainted testimony from these people that have already testified, even though much of it is lies, even if it's not lies without context of what they said. We have no idea what they meant, etc. What they're doing is so dangerous because they're setting a trap. Again, these guys have mastered, I believe, the art of setting traps. First, they used the subpoena trap, all of the things they've done. Well, they're doing it again, except this time they're using this open hearing as a trap. They're going to let President Trump and his legal team participate, right?
mm-hmm.
Then they're going to, if President Trump, for any reason, challenges one of the witnesses from his people to testify, whether it be for executive privilege or whatever, if he denies one person to go and testify before that committee, they've got him potentially for a real impeachment
Of
crime
obstruction, yeah,
of obstructing Congress.
right. Well, but he's
And
not
I
going to.
don't believe what? You don't believe what?
No, sorry, you were going to say you don't believe.
Well, I don't believe President Trump can allow every person that works with him to testify.
So
There are
saying,
legitimate reasons why people can't testify before Congress under presidential privilege and for security, etc.
right. So you're saying, though, they've set it up so that even though he does have kind of the presidential right to say, hey, this person's not going to testify, I think he did that with his attorney or something like that, and the guy went and testified anyway. So if he says that now, they'll say, oh, now that we have an official vote and we're going to impeach you, you can't do that, and so you're obstructing.
Right.
It's annoying. It's like whatever he tries to do, these guys aren't focused on the business of Congress. They're just focused on make up any crap they can come up with and try to impeach Trump.
And they're getting by with it.
It's really amazing.
Well, that's why I'm so concerned, Jason. We've never gone here. The United States of America, maintaining itself as the country we were supposed to be, has never been in as much jeopardy as we are today, Jason. Now, that's a big statement because you got to remember the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Civil War. Those are critical moments in the forming of our government. This one runs the risk of destroying the very foundation of our country.
Yeah. Because if they succeed, then the presidential election process is effectively nullified. It means that powerful losers in Congress can, basically string together a bunch of tricks and deceptions to get rid of the president.
Well, it could mean that, but I believe it means that if they pull this off, don't worry about future elections.
There'll just be none.
There won't be any. I mean, we'll have elections like Cuba and Russia, but not the kind we're used to. This is it. This is it. And they've got everybody looking at Trump. Trump's this, Trump's that. And I know people don't like Trump. I know people don't like his mannerism. They don't like his language, the way he speaks. I understand all of that. But you don't understand, Jason. They're not going after Trump. They're going after us.
Yeah.
That's who they're coming after, us.
Yeah. No doubt.
Trump is just the perfect figurehead to get us.
It's interesting, Larry, to see how just as the Barr and Durham inquiry shifts to a criminal probe, I mean, there's so many people in Congress on both Democrat and Republican sides of the aisle who could get ensnared in that probe. I mean, as you and I have discussed, we've heard about Joe Biden's crooked dealings and how money was distributed to members of his family, and that's essentially the standard business practice, business model for all of Congress. They see that Trump is, finally in a position, particularly if he is successful in his re-election bid, to really actually drain the swamp, and this is the swamp reacting.
That's exactly right. And remember, Trump was told, you go in trying to, quote unquote, drain the swamp, and the CIA will get you. And they're getting him.
That was
they're
Schumer
trying.
who said that, right? If you mess around,
Yeah.
the intelligence agencies have 6 ways till Sunday to get you. What kind of a statement was that? Chuck Schumer. We haven't heard too much from Chuck Schumer lately, Larry. What do you make of that?
He's staying out of the line of fire. Doesn't have to.
He's just back there kind of whispering things into people's ears and making sure that things happen, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he has no play right now. None. But he will get active, I assure you, when it moves to a Senate impeachment trial.
Yeah, then
He'll
we'll
get
start
very
talking a lot, right?
Yep. Right now, the show's in Schiff, Pelosi, and Nadler's hands. I mean, this is critical, Jason. It's critical.
I agree.
They're going to use things that, it's there. I mean, it is part of the law, but look, we've only had 3 impeachments in our history, right? 3, I think, that's all there has been.
Well,
No one has experience.
there's only 2 actually, Larry.
impeachment.
There was Clinton, of course. I think Andrew Johnson, and then Nixon never got to impeachment because he just left.
Well, yes. Well, then we've had 2 with 1 almost.
Right.
But that's why there's not experience. There's no experience in this. Now, historically, they have used historical rules.
Yeah.
What was done by whatever they did with Clinton, whatever they did by whomever they did with Clinton.
Right.
But it was simply historic rules. Didn't mean they had to do it. They just did it because it was in the interest of what? Fairness, equity. They're not doing that now.
It's a sufficiently immature process that they could get away with kind of, moving the edges around a little bit, I guess.
And when we go into the full vote of the House, you're still sort of treading the same ground. There's not a lot of experience in doing this. There's not. Jason, there's not 10 people in Washington, D.C. There's not 10 that actually understand the constitutional ramifications and responsibilities of an impeachment. Did you know that? Presidential impeachment? There's
Yeah,
not
I mean,
10. I bet
they're
there's not
making it
5.
up.
They make it up.
They're making it up as
So
they
they're
go.
making part of it up. They're making part of it up to lead President Trump and his people to where they have to fail part of the test, which gives them obstruction of Congress grounds for true impeachment.
Right.
Slick, man. It's as
really-
slick as anything I've ever seen.
So they're just basically trying to set him up so that he's damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't. It's kind of they're trying to get him into a checkmate, position from a chess playing standpoint.
That's exactly it. Checkmate.
And
Checkmate.
part of the way they've been
If
doing
he
that, Larry, is they've been coming out hard against William Barr because I think they know that an impartial attorney general who abides by the law is going to crush them. So they've been trying to position it that Barr is somehow a Trump lackey doing the president's bidding. The New York Times reports that Barr has rejected complaints that he's bolstering Trump's personal agenda. I mean, it's idiotic to say that the president's personal agenda is pursuing corruption and asking his foreign counterparts to assist the United States where cooperation treaties exist. He's just carrying out his job. It's not his personal agenda. He's not taking out other hotel owners.
Right. Look, it's really something when you see John Durham, for example. John Durham, up until today, had worked for 3 presidents in the past, 2 of which were Republicans, 1 a Democrat, to investigate internal agencies within the government, right? He was Mr. Non-political. He was Mr. Non-partisan. He was the epitome of somebody that, was straight down the line. Until what?
Until he started doing stuff for Trump.
Well, he's not even doing it for Trump.
For the country.
Until he started, until he started through where the investigation led him, not him going, just where it led, he ends up against the deep state. He ends up being the person that can call a whole bunch of the pawns in a chess game to fall.
Right.
Now, this is going to get serious, but what's scary, now I've told you the scary part as best I can, I think, to the legal challenge of this new resolution and what's coming. But then you got another challenge. You got Barr and Durham. You and I'm not going to speak for you. I know neither one of them are on any witch hunt, any mission for President Trump.
Right.
They are simply abiding by the rules of law which they are sworn to follow. All right? Wherever it goes, wherever it leads, that's where they're going. But very few days from now, very few days, maybe as early as tomorrow, I'm not saying that with assurances, but maybe, John Durham is going to make public one of the targets of his investigation. When he does, you're going to see 50% of this nation, a full 50% of this country, is going to be convinced that he's on a partisan witch hunt to cover up for President Trump and is participating himself in obstruction of justice.
That's amazing.
Well,
I thought you were going to say, sorry, Larry, I thought you were going to say we'd see 50% of the country lose its mind, which also might happen. Well, what you're describing is exactly that.
That's right.
Sean Hannity
Remember,
said, sorry, Larry, Sean Hannity is saying that the Durham criminal investigation will shock the conscience and soul of the nation. Sounds like you know some of the stuff that Sean Hannity knows.
Well, I would hope to think I know a little more than he does, and that's a pretty flowery, poetic way of saying something. I just know this. The investigation has led to actual criminal potential that must be resolved through due course and due court. All right? That I know.
Yeah.
And when you start saying the country's going to be shocked, etc., we got to get back to the other problem I was fixing to tell you about. 50% of the nation's going to believe John Durham's a crook and he's a lackey, he's obstructing justice, so is Barr.
Right.
Why? Because all they're going to hear is CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC, C-SPAN. That's all they're going to hear. In many cases, that's all they have access to hearing. And then, of course, the young in college age, voting age, of course, they're going to hear it from their professors. I mean, you've got half of this nation that is being mentally brainwashed.
Socially engineered, Larry.
Socially engineered to believe all of this junk.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you do now? You know, you've got the perceived, well, you've got the real problem, which is walking into a trap. This new inquiry phase leads the president. You've got that potential, really. But then you've got this other potential, which is the perception of the country. And as you know it, reality is as one perceives it. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Right. Yeah. I used to have I worked with a scientist when I was developing some of my 3D stuff, and he spoke a lot about that perception and how the brain works, and he was very interested in that. Larry, we've got Sam Hopkins watching us on Facebook, wants to ask you about the sealed indictments. I certainly don't know anything about any sealed indictments. I think that's a QAnon thing. I don't know if you get into that.
All right, Sam. Yeah, Sam, let me tell you. I don't know specifically if you're talking about this 100,000 or 60,000 sealed indictments. That's not true. There's no validity to that at all, folks. None. Now, at least twice, I think, he gave deadlines, that QAnon person or whatever he is, gave deadlines when this was supposed to happen, and it didn't. But then they have a logical reason why it didn't, so now it's put off, but it's coming. No, it is not coming. No, ladies and gentlemen, no. There are no trials being set up in Gitmo through military court. None. I mean, not relating to this. I mean, there are military issues, but nothing related to this.
Right.
Stop it. Quit it. Quit it, please.
You know,
one of the problems we have, Jason, even within our audiences and people that are like our audiences, when we go out here and we try to tell the truth, and one of your listeners tells a friend, you know, this, that, and the other, I mean, the whole point is to educate as many people as we can. And then all of a sudden, somebody, they pick up on this other stuff, comes out with one of these conspiracy nutbag things. You tell that to somebody that we almost had going with us, willing to get involved and engage. And then they hear one of these kind of stories, and you know what? They call us all crazy. Jason and I will be called crazy because of these stories having to do with 100,000 sealed indictments or whatever. We have nothing to do with that. We're not putting that out. I wouldn't put that out. I've told you not to believe it.
Yeah.
But I promise you, there are people today, I'm sure, somewhere, that are saying, oh, you're listening to that Larry Nichols and Jason, you know, don't listen to them because they're into this conspiracy junk about 100,000, you know, sealed indictments out there. God.
Yeah.
It crushes us.
It always sounded not plausible to me, Larry, because, I mean, first of all, at any given moment, there's probably lots of people under indictment, and for a variety of reasons, some of them might be sealed, but just saying there's 100,000 sealed indictments and that means something was very kind of not that interesting. Let me ask you this, Larry,
well,
because...
Jason, let me tell you this, Jason. There may be, nationwide, there may be 100,000 indictments out there that are sealed at the present time.
Right.
Having to do with a myriad of different issues, different parts of the country, but not the ones we're talking about, not about what we're talking about the government. It's not.
Yeah. And anyway, Larry, isn't it true we're looking for 2 or 3 dozen indictments tops? That would drain the swamp. Comey, Hillary, Obama, McCabe. I'm sure there's a bunch of others, but you don't need 100,000.
No. Look, we're going to walk away initially. Maybe I shouldn't say this. Anyway, I've already opened the door, I guess. We're going to walk away with probably around a half a dozen indictments that when, now I say indictments or possibly impaneling grand juries,
Right.
depending on how they come out, depending on how they're released, it's going to be earth-shattering enough.
Right.
That will suffice as plenty. Hold on one second, Jason. I've got to take this call. I'll be right back.
No problem, Larry. So we've got it right there, straight from the man himself, Larry Nichols, not buying anything QAnon has to say. I know there's a lot of people that like QAnon, and it's great to have hope. I've always had my doubts about it. We haven't covered QAnon here. I don't want to upset people that like QAnon and want to look into QAnon. I don't personally rely on it as a source of news. Larry's telling us, as I suspected, there could be quite a lot of indictments around. I think Larry's in communication with some people who may have told him things that he's not prepared to tell us yet. So when he comes back from this other call, I'm just going to ask him a couple questions. And I saw Sam had responded. Facebook is another one of these things that I can see comments from, but I can't type them to. So I think, Sam, yes, there is a component of social engineering in that whole QAnon campaign, if it's not entirely that.
I'm back.
Okay. So Larry, I know there's people that you talk to who, there's certain things that you're not going to be able to share with us, but just from watching the news over the past few days, everybody knows that in this Fox interview yesterday or the day before, Attorney General Barr ripped Comey and his FBI for a failure of leadership. That certainly should give James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok a little bit of, incentive to contact a lawyer, perhaps.
I'm not going to deny that they're in trouble. I cannot go into any more than that. They're just in a lot of trouble. And, we can't deny the obvious. Obviously, something went on.
Right.
And, no, he will be held accountable. Trust me, he will be held accountable.
Yeah. Now, I noticed that Rachel Maddow was questioning William Barr's international travel that he was doing to speak to some of the foreign intelligence heads and some foreign leaders. She was mocking it as if Barr was on some kind of vacation. This guy's the Attorney General of the United States. If there are members of Congress, members of the Senate, recently departed members of the government like Joe Biden and Barack Obama who have engaged in massive multi-million and even billion-dollar corruption around the world, he's doing exactly what he is supposed to do. It's amazing. Rachel Maddow is socially engineering her audience.
Yes, and let's not forget, it has been the Democrats that since day one have claimed how serious our nation is in trouble because in 2016 there was foreign interference in our presidential election, so they say. So then now they turn around when we finally have an attorney general that if you're going to go in other, if you're going to find out about other countries and possible things they've done to our election, you've got to go to them. Well, now when we have an attorney general that goes to these countries to ask the pertinent, relevant questions, to get to the bottom of it, now that's not right. You can't win, Jason.
Yeah.
You can't win. They control the media.
It really feels to me, Larry, like a conversation with a child where there's no winning. That's like, I know you are, but what am I? It's like what these Democrats keep doing is the most juvenile and obvious attack. But I guess they've calculated that there's a sufficient number of people who don't know what the hell is going on that they can just use these incredibly stupid tactics, and it works. Although you're saying, even though it seems surface level and stupid, there is a genius to it in that it's a trap. Isn't Trump going to defy this trap, Larry? What are the president's options for getting out of this Democrat, checkmate trap that they're trying to set for
him? How do I answer that?
Are there
I don't
options?
answer that. I can. Well, yes, there are.
But you don't want the Democrats
I
to
don't
know
think
either.
I don't think it wise
Got
to
it.
give the enemy potentially information as to possible challenges that might exist. I will tell you, there is heartfelt concern about this situation at the highest levels, heartfelt. Not because there's any validity to any of this, ladies and gentlemen, not because there's 1 ounce of truth to any of it. It's just the socio-political, legal
It's an effective
mess.
smear tactic. It could work.
It could work. Very, very possibly could work because it leaves very few outs. Very
Right.
few.
Right. You know, the other important thing
Now-
I want to bring up, Larry, is that people should remember to visit nicholslive.com and click on the donate tab. You can send Larry your financial support by using his PayPal address. You go to paypal.com, send Larry some money on Nichols Live at AOL.com. If you don't want to use PayPal, you can stick some cash. Larry accepts American dollars in envelopes sent to Conway, Arkansas. And Larry, I know that everybody really values your input, your insights, your experience as a political strategist. We've got a lot of people watching us right now, so I hope that people will help sponsor Larry because he's coming here every week for us to learn and enjoy.
Well, here's something I do want to say, and folks, I'm not trying to be patronizing to Jason. I'm not. Ordinarily, I wouldn't give 2 shits and a tinker. But I got to. From now, for the next couple of 3 months, it is going to be incredibly, incredibly important that I have a platform, which is this one, that I can come to, probably, Jason, with your permission, more frequently than we're doing right now, just due to the turn of events and how they're going to happen.
Yeah.
But folks, please support this program, because without it, I got no way to get to you.
Yeah.
And folks, you're going to hear here, you have my word, you're going to hear things that nobody's going to be able to tell you. Nobody's going to be able to tell you. I'm not going to tell you how I know. Jason knows how I know some of it. But would you say I'm fairly well connected, Jason?
I think you're very well known throughout Washington, D.C., and the enemies of the Clintons are aware of you, Larry, so people can draw from that what they will. You know, what we might be able to do, Larry, is perhaps, since we're having our regular show on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, and again, I appreciate your flexibility with the schedule today. Ole had a bit of an emergency, but perhaps if people send you financial support by using your PayPal address, nicholslive@aol.com, when they go to PayPal to send you some money, whether it's $5, $10, whatever they choose, they can include a note. And Larry, give me some feedback. If you get sufficient number of people contacting you and telling you that they'd like to see you appear twice a week, maybe you and I could do another show on Thursdays. That way, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we could get an update, kind of like the Swamp Report. We'll know what's going on there in D.C.
Well, that would be possible, or another possibility would not be for me to necessarily tie you up for another whole day. However, do just an insert, an update as things pop up, because it will happen. It will happen now, very quickly, and your audience needs to know the truth.
Yeah.
Before they get the versions that will come from the mainstream media, and even the versions coming from Fox, although Fox, Hannity, Carlson, and what's her name?
Sarah Carter.
Anyway, no, the lady after Hannity.
Laura Ingraham.
Yes, even though they do a good job. And to just please know that we're going to try to keep you posted because our country's at stake, Jason. This is not a game. This is not a joke. And everybody ought to see it now. I mean, you know, these are old statements that seem to be used up, but we are under attack from within. We are.
Yeah, I think it's very clear
and it's
to
very
people.
well structured.
It is. It is. So I'm just looking here for Adam Schiff's Twitter. He's been putting out a bunch of stupid stuff on Twitter. And I mean, he also, this is a political power play for Adam Schiff, isn't it, Larry? I mean, he's gaining a lot of notoriety on TV and people know his name. I mean, this is a guy who's jockeying. He's a pretty young guy. He probably has a Senate bid in mind and all that kind of stuff. Adam Schiff is retweeting Kim Kardashian. That's interesting.
Listen, Schiff knows what I know. They all know what I know. This is it. This is it. And we're either going to win and keep our country the way it was meant to be, or we're going to lose. And when we lose, there's going to be a new form of government. And Adam Schiff and Pelosi and that gang, they're all, believe it or not, vying for their positions in this new structure that they see coming. They intend to be the cultural elite. They intend to be the political elite. Remember, in a socialist communist country, you may have a president-type figurehead, but the Central Committee, that's who makes the decisions. That's who rules. And these guys are all vying for their spot in that committee. Or, you know what? They know. They know what you and I know. If they lose, it's over for them. They're never going to be able to come through this on the other side. If they lose, they're not going to come through it. You're never going to see a day, Jason, where the mainstream media ever again, if they lose, you will never see a day, at least not in the foreseeable distant future, where they become a viable news organization again.
Right.
They're committed. It's over. They're in it to win it.
You know, Larry, as you're speaking to us, it occurs to me, this concept of the committee, it's like the Politburo or whatever, where it's all decided by committee. We're actually in that right now. We're supposed to have this democratic republic where, you know, we all vote and then the electoral college, and we have this sort of like whatever evolved democratic process for getting to a president. But now we have this committee of self-imposed elites who don't like that decision. So even though they're not taking a direct path to it, they are, by committee, making the decision to remove that president and put in somebody who they want.
That's exactly right. You know, these guys have read the works of Alexander Tytler. They've read them. And in those works, if any of you want to go look at them, Alexander Tytler, he's the guy that invented what was called the clock. You know, you start out free and then you become something and you become subservient and then you do this, you become slaves and then you end up free again, and it's a cycle that keeps going. But he points out one very big thing. Democracies. He did a study of democracies going back to the beginning, and all of them failed. Why? Because what he says, I'm paraphrasing, is in a true democracy, eventually one side figures out that if they can get all the votes, or the majority of the votes, then they get their turn, as he calls it, at the trough. Now, they have figured that now is that time. They've got 50% of the country, social engineered, brainwashed, whatever you want to call it. They've got control of the access to those people through the media. And they've got at least a tie right now of the trough. And they're fixing to leverage it. That's what they want. They know democracy is going to fail. That's why they keep referring to us as a democracy instead of a representative republic. You never hear a politician anymore, either side, refer to us as a representative republic. They all call us a democracy. They need us to be a democracy so that they can complete their agenda.
I don't understand what you
Now,
mean by
guys, it
that.
sounds like I'm sorry?
I don't understand what you mean by that. They need it to be a democracy so that they can complete their agenda. Why is that?
Their agenda is to transform our fundamental way of governance. Mm-hmm. They want to transform it. They want us to become a socialist country. They want it. Hell, you've even got them saying it now. And the way to get a socialist country is to get control of the trough of what? The people. Mm-hmm. You get them convinced whatever's right or wrong matters not. You get them to buy into reality as one perceives it. And if you can make the reality the perception you want, then those people will vote for it. They will stand behind you, correct?
Yeah.
And you get what you seek.
It's really distressing, Larry. I think a lot of people are feeling the anguish, and to some extent, the Democrats are just beating the American public into submission. I think the average person that I speak to is less dialed into this stuff than you or I or the people that are watching our show here, and they just feel fatigued by all this. They don't know what to believe, they don't know what the rules are, they don't know what the law is, they just hear all this stuff every day, and it's psychologically draining.
Yes, it is. And you confuse them. And if you confuse them, they lay down on you.
Right. They check out.
We've known
mentally.
that forever. Yeah. So look, it is, and look, I know this audience right now hearing the both of us, I know they're sitting there frustrated because you feel helpless. What on earth can we do about it?
Yeah.
You know, we can't call our politician because they're in on it.
And they never answer anyway.
And right, they don't answer and can't send them a letter because they throw it in file 13 the minute they get it, don't even read it.
Yep.
We're there. We are there. Good word. We are in relative submission at this point. But I do challenge you all to understand. I have been very serious about saying they control 50% of the population. Not all of it. Not all of it yet. They will never control all of it. But those that disagree with the system will be dealt with.
Yeah.
You won't have much voice if we do convert. And look, this sounds awfully philosophical. They're trying to change our form of government and golly gee. That ain't who I am. I'm no philosopher. I'm no fortune teller. I'm no prophet. I'm not. This is my world, Jason. This is all I've ever done.
Yeah.
You know, Warren, this is all I've ever done. I can't bake a cake. I can't work on a car.
Larry, Carol Price is asking, what side is Nichols on? I think that's a clear question. Larry is on the side of the Constitution and President Trump.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Let me tell you something, folks. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Maybe I haven't said it here. But as I told you earlier, you may not like the way Trump talks. You may not like his mannerisms. You may not like him generally. But let me tell you, I was a guy, when Trump was running, I didn't particularly care for Trump one way or the other. I just knew I didn't want Hillary. Right? All right? I didn't. But here's what I know today. President Trump is one of the few presidents I've ever even heard of who, as of this point today, has not lied to me. He hasn't lied to me. He hasn't lied to y'all. He may have been overzealous in some of his timetables and some of his conclusions he hoped to achieve, but they're still coming. He's still fighting for them, you know, like the border, etc. He's still fighting for that. He's not laying it down.
Right.
And then think about this, Jason. You've got a president that is under literal siege.
Yeah.
He doesn't know who in his own staff is betraying him. He doesn't know who in the White House is a deep stater trying to cut his throat every time he turns around. Then he's got all of this international stuff going on. He's got, everybody's got egg on their face, so they're mad about the deal with Syria. I told you that was the thing to do, and he did it. And it's working. And the Democrats, be damned, they're doing everything they can to try to make that fall apart. I mean, that involves, folks, tens of thousands of people losing their lives, and the Democrats want it to fall apart so that they can have something to hit Trump with. That's the only thing. They just want to hurt Trump. For that, they would let an engagement like Syria and the Turks and the Kurds reopen and get vicious and kill tens of thousands of people. They would do that just to defeat Trump. Are you kidding me? That's what we got.
Now, Larry, do you want to give us any insights into this recent raid that purported to kill this guy, al-Baghdadi, who was like a billiards buddy with John McCain or whatever the hell he was?
Yeah, let me tell you, folks, Baghdadi is, first off, dead. I've heard it on another program, one I'm on. I've heard it from people say, well, he was supposed to have been killed in 2017 or something like that. Look, I'm not into rumors and gossip, etc. He was killed. I will tell you this. Very soon, you all are going to see proof of that. You're going to see proof of that. Why? Not so that our mission can be exposed for how great it was, but they're going to want to make it public so as to take all of the followers of Baghdadi and show them who he really was, down to and including the end. Mm-hmm. You're going to see it, and you're going to see the guy's dead. You're also going to see that within 20 minutes, they were able to take and verify DNA analysis. He's dead. So too is his number one guy under him an hour later. It's true. But now, having said all of that, by the end of this week, the Democrats are probably going to have turned this event around to looking like a fiasco to, once again, 50% of this nation that's going to believe it was a complete failure, that he blew it.
Well,
now,
they're already saying, sorry, Larry, they've already said that the Syria pullout has complicated the process. So, I mean, again, anything that Trump does, even if it seems great all around, they're searching around for some negative statement about it.
Absolutely. And guys, I'm telling you, just know that over there, the whole arrangement in the beginning with Turkey, Syria, and the Kurds, that was a good thing for America. Everybody's saying, well, he was in collusion with the Russians, and he brought Russia in to work with with Turkey. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. You know why? Because Putin and Russia do not have the ability at any time, if Erdogan messes with them and doesn't do what he says, they don't have the power to shut his economy down, Turkey's economy down. We have the power, and Trump knows it, and so does Erdogan and everybody else in Turkey, that if they don't do what they committed to do, within 24 hours, Trump can basically shut their entire economy down. So they're not going to dance with the Russians.
Uh-huh. But at the same time, it gives Trump an interesting negotiating position with Putin, doesn't it?
Absolutely. But the main thing of all, Jason, about him not being a liar, he said he was going to get us out of these never-ending wars, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what he said he was going to do? Isn't that what he's trying to do?
Yeah.
Why should let me ask any of you listening to me, if you're not willing for your son or daughter to go over to Syria, stand there and get shot at and probably killed, then don't ask another soldier in America's army to go do it. If you're not willing for your kids to go get killed, then don't ask our soldiers to go.
And
we have no reason
Larry.
for our troops. Yes, I have, and there's no reason for our troops to be walking up and down that long line between Syria, Turkey, the Kurds, You know, that's still a very dangerous zone. And it's a lot of space, a lot of ground. It's better to have the Russians patrolling it than us.
Right.
He didn't give anything up to do that. Nothing. Nothing.
Well, not to
But,
mention the cost as well,
say,
so that's pretty good.
That's right. And he will use that as a template for other countries in the region. You will soon see that same template of success he's going to use in Afghanistan. Maybe I shouldn't have told you that, but he is.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, Larry, obviously Donald Trump's a businessman, and if he opens a hotel, a certain style, offers a certain kind of, product in the room or whatever, if that's successful, he's not going to do something totally different or make up something new. He'll take that same kind of hotel and put it someplace else. So if he's got a plan that works in Syria, it's almost like a franchise, move it throughout the region. We haven't really had a president who's thought like a businessman, really, ever.
Ever. Now, remember this. I've told you here on this program, Jason, you've heard me say it. Wars are fought on many planes. There are economic wars, there's social wars, there's bang-bang shoot-'em-up wars, there are environmental wars. There are many types of wars that are fought every day. No one ever thought about a president using a 2 or 3 dimensional offense to solve these problems.
What do you mean?
Instead of just going bang bang shoot 'em up war, right? Why not use the natural power we have by using our economy, using the economy? You can use economics as a battlefront.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing. Leverage our power. What's the benefit of having our power? Why do you think President Trump goes to the extreme every day, every chance he gets, to brag that we're the most powerful country in the world, that our economy is growing and blowing, making all others feel like crap, right? Mm-hmm. He's rubbing it in so that he can use that on them. Hey, you're sitting there hurting, Afghanistan. You play ball with us our way, and we make your world better. If you don't, we destroy you.
Larry, along the lines of what you're saying about the things that President Trump has promised and been working towards internationally, I just saw a thing the other day that apparently Kim Jong-un says he's running out of patience with the United States Cold War mentality. It doesn't strike me as the type of thing that Donald Trump is going to care to hear. I'm not sure that he cares about Kim Jong-un's patience. What do you think about what's going on in Korea?
Well, once again, President Trump is a wise man. All right? He's wise. There is nothing Kim Jong-un can do to hurt America. They might claim they could lob a nuke over this way, but it won't get here. Probably won't get here just from their mechanical failures, but it won't get here through our defenses, etc. There's nothing he can do to us. Nothing. One day, that kid will learn. He can raise Cain, do all he wants to. He's not going to get to us. And President Trump has made it quite clear, we'll back South Korea, so if he wants to mess with South Korea, then we will wipe him off the face of the earth. And Donald Trump has the power to make these people believe that with just snapping his finger, it doesn't matter to him if he blows North Korea off the face of the earth. Doesn't he? Doesn't he get that air?
I mean, he can't really do that. It would kill everybody in South Korea and Japan and everything.
Look, you know that, and I know that, but to these foreign entities, they see a leader that they respect because our leader thinks like they do. Kim Jong-un don't care if you go in and kill 2/3 of his country. He don't care about those people. They're chickens, same as chickens. But we've got a leader now that he's about half convinced, getting there more every day. What do you do if America's a leader? What do you do if America's president doesn't care about blowing these people up? That raises the stakes, don't it?
Yeah.
And it takes us to a new level of negotiating, a new level that we've never been at before, Jason. Never. Now, is it a reality that he would push a button wipe North Korea off the face of the earth? I doubt it, but I don't think he'd probably even have to do that much. But I do believe President Trump, if pushed, would certainly lob a bunch of munitions over there and blow a bunch of stuff up. He would. Now, like he did in Iran, he will be very careful. He's made it quite clear he's not going to kill innocent people if he can help it. But reality is as one perceives it, Jason. Mm-hmm. If they perceive him to be a hair-triggered maniac, believe it or not, that's good for us.
I've always said that. I mean, even if you dislike Donald Trump, if you've got a dislikable person working in your favor, his toughness might be very helpful. Now, Larry, I want to ask you one thing about the Syrian pullout, because a Syrian girl who is a friend of the show and appeared maybe 2 weeks ago, I think I saw something where she said that it's not happening, that they haven't actually pulled out. But then the New York Times tells us that ISIS is gaining as the U.S. pulls out. How do we really know what's going on over there?
Well, I can only tell you that it is more stable than it has been in years and years and years and years. Is it ever going to be completely stable and safe? I doubt it. I doubt it. But as for now, we're achieving the best negotiated arrangement that we can achieve. I assure you of that. Now, will it please everybody? No. Remember, you've got centuries-old war. You've got generations war, and it's hard for somebody that's a Kurd that saw the Turks kill every member of his family. You can't just tell somebody like that, okay, stop shooting at them. You can't. So, I mean, there are going to be problems. But I assure you it's working. And I'll give you another proof of that. If it was not working, there is no way President Trump could have cleared the air lanes to get in to get Baghdadi. He had to get a negotiated clear flight line from Russia, Turkey, and Syria.
See, that's the type of military strategy that the average person wouldn't even think of, Larry. That's what I really love to hear about from you, because you say something like that and it makes so much sense. And I know that's the type of thing that people who are watching every Tuesday, normally at 3, are coming here to see. So, Larry, we've got a huge audience today, over 1,100 people watching us on YouTube alone. I hope that each of those people will choose to go to nicholslive.com and click on the donate tab. Larry really needs our support, and he's here every week. So if you're enjoying the show every week, think of it as picking up a newspaper off a newsstand. You'd pay $2 or $3 for that. Get on to paypal.com, and using Larry's PayPal address, nicholslive@aol.com, you can send him a few dollars if you enjoy the show. It's really the right thing to do. Couldn't do this show every week without Larry. His valuable experience as a Green Beret, his time in Nicaragua, and his personal experience in dealing with all of these various characters through Iran-Contra, the Clinton administration, and up to today. It informs all of us in a way that you're not going to get anywhere else, as Larry has said. And I'm really pleased to have Larry as one of the weekly go-to guests here on Crowdsource the Truth. So I hope that people will sponsor this show as well by going to subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And we're coming up to the end of the month here, so it's important, if you're on there, please stay with us month over month. There's a ton of information, and as Larry has said, this is going to start quickening. Larry and I will have a conversation offline about some more frequent installments of his show. But Larry, we're almost out of time. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss before we end today's program?
No, that's about it, Jason. I've got to run right now to an important call. But
okay, we'll try to give your voice a little rest.
I'm trying. We will give we will give a heads up here that they'll not get anywhere else. I promise you that. And then, like you say, you and I'll talk later about what we could do potentially to kind of do updates.
There you go. All right, Larry. Well, thanks for a great episode. I think there's a lot going on. We'll see tomorrow, and everybody's dying to hear what Durham and Barr and the criminal investigation are going to get into. Don't miss More Pain tonight at 8 p.m. Mike Moore has a blockbuster story about John Brennan sitting on key intel while he was Obama's national security advisor. Larry, I'll speak to you soon. Thanks so much, and thanks everybody for watching.
Thanks, buddy.